How is everyone doing today? Tips and Tricks Gaming here again, and I thought I would give you guys another video, yes, another video of a new and improved DK build, Magicka DK build. Sorry for making all the DK videos. It just, honestly, my opinion, just the only character I really enjoy playing, the only class. I just feel like the other classes just really don't do it for me. Like I have a high level Sork and everything, and I just don't appreciate the gameplay. Like I can't find a cool rotation that I enjoy. But anyway, so let's get into the build. For this build, we're using a Restoration Staff as our back bar, and for our DPS bar, Destruction Staff. So as you all know, the new patch Thieves Guild is now for the PC and consoles. Even though I know it's been out for a while, I've just been doing a large amount of testing to make sure I get everything I want kind of like in place. Make sure the build really works well in like all areas. So first off, let's go run to our skills here. So on the DPS bar, we're going to be rocking Elemental Drain. And so this build really encompasses like a lot of sustainability. Both HP, Magicka, you really don't drop super low on resources almost ever. You just maintain a large pool all the time. So we have Elemental Drain for this reason. Not only does it increase all of our damage, all our spell damage because it reduces their spell resistance, it gives us back 451 Magicka every time we use a Flame Shock or Frost attack. And since we are using Lava Whip and heavy attacks a lot in this build, which I'll display later on, it pretty much just refills our bar. Like over time, if you just need to shoot some light attacks while the duration is up to get some back or whatever has to happen, it really does make a huge difference, and you'll see that. So next up, bread and butter of the DK, we have Burning Embers. So now with the new update, 75% damage inflicted is a heal when the effect ends. Super, super helpful. That's almost a full heal for 900 Magicka. So we want to start the fight with that every time. Make sure it's always up and running at all times in the battle, no matter if you're fighting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people. As well as now, if you hit them before the full 10 seconds is up, you'll get whatever's been dealt to you back as HP. So it's really good for like a get out of dodge situation. So then we're using Draw Essence. There's a couple reasons for this. First off, it's not for the heal, really. It's for the burst DPS we can get, because now with the setup that I'm rocking, you can get a really good setup where you can actually burst DPS and sometimes kill someone without them being able to heal through it at all. Like, it's just not possible with the amount of damage you put off in a couple seconds. So I'm going to display that also later. But then we're using Flame Reach, and I don't think I've said this, but you need to have an Inferno Staff for this build. For the Destruction Staff, obviously, we're a Dragon Knight, we use fire, our passives are towards fire, so we really want to utilize that for everything. So for that reason, we're using Flame Reach, and I just like the increased range, hence the reason I use that morph. And then Flame Lash, also the DK's bread and butter. So with the heal, super high sustainability for HP, we can use a CC move, get a really large heal, really got large damage knockdown. That, and then this is technically our Executioner for this build. So you guys might have seen that in my old videos as well, is that since the DKs really lack an Executioner, we're going to be using Dawnbreaker. So, if you get really close to them being down and then trying to heal, you can pop Dawnbreaker after you stun them to get that quick, KO right off the bat. So that's our DPS bar. The resto bar is about the same as it always is, usually for the other videos too, because, we only have one heal and everyone uses Healing Ward for that reason. So we're using Dragonfire Scale. You can use either morph. If you want to like have a little bit more tankiness, you can use the other morph, which I think increases your resistance. I just use this because if I'm fighting a Sork and they use Overload or Frags or anything, it's like when it's reflected, it drops them. So that's helpful. Igneous Weapons. So as all of you may know, also with the new Thieves Guild update, it increases Major Sorcery, Major Brutality for the entire party. I don't use it for that reason, although I use this more if I'm like PvPing with a group because it helps everyone out, but I just use it for the duration, not the specific morph if you use either morph, but I use this for the specific duration just because it's better over Entropy, because I can proc this at the beginning of a fight, and it will usually last me a full fight. I don't ever find myself really having to reuse it, so it really just maintains the plus 20% damage the whole time. It's 40-second duration, that's pretty decent. So then we have our Green Dragon Blood. After testing out Green Dragon Blood compared to, I think it's Coagulating Blood, I've stuck with Green Dragon Blood just because it really helps return the stamina. So not being a stamina based build, it's really hard to get out of CC, roll dodge, break free of CC and crowd control effects. So that's what I'm using, just because it does kind of stack up. The extra 20% recovery kind of helps. And then Healing Ward, of course, the most used thing in PvP other than Wrecking Blow. So that's always great. And this is kind of weird on the back bar. I'm using Talons. So you can also use Volatile Armor, or the other morph for Hardened Armor. I believe it's Hardened Armor. If you want, but I'm using Burning Talons for the specific reason as, since we're using Flame Reach on the Destruction bar, and it's our only CC, and it doesn't have a very long, like, crowd control effect at all. Like, they knock down, even if they don't break it, they're back up in a couple seconds. This way I can kind of make up for the difference that if I need to keep them close because they're trying to get away, or if anything's happening in general, I can proc this at any time, and it's not too bad of its Magicka cost because you are getting a total of 8,000 damage total. So it's not too terrible, and like I said, you can use Volatile Armor because you can even get the dot off that as well. But I've just been using Burning Talons to offset that I don't have like 2 CCs like last time. And then we're using Standard of Might. I don't find myself using this almost ever anymore based on like this is sustain, because usually I was using this because of the Dragon Knight passives, where when you activate an ultimate, it increases your stamina, health, and Magicka based on how much the ultimate costs. So I'd use this if I was really low on resources and I didn't want to die. Now I mostly just use Dawnbreaker for the fact that the damage that I get from it is insane. If I crit in PvP, it hits hard. Like, I can almost one-shot people depending on the resistances and if they're like stunned at the time. So, but yeah, I have that on there. You can use Ice Comet, Shooting Star also as well. I would just recommend having a high cost ultimate to offset the low 100 ultimate for Dawnbreaker or Smiting. So, alrighty, so that's that. Let's take a look at our equipment. So for equipment, this build is really based on like end game content. Probably should have said that at the beginning, but I'm really focusing on like someone who has a high level Dragon Knight, or someone who wants to farm all the way up to a vet 16 and really have like a really good idea, a solid idea of what they want to do with them. So we're going to be using 5-piece Kagranax Hope. So yeah, I'm going to butcher the name every time I say it. So 5-piece. So we're going to use the Inferno Staff as Kagranax Hope, and the Resto Staff also as Kagranax Hope, and then 3-piece Magnus. So although we don't get the spell damage because we're not using dual swords, the sustainability from the magic recovery and using the Destro Staff really makes up for it. I guarantee it will. You won't regret it. So for the Inferno Staff, we're going to have the Fury Weapon Enchantment, or Fiery, or I don't even know, for the extra flame damage because it all goes off our passives. And then you can kind of have whatever it's called. I have Sharpen on there. So increases armor and spell penetration by 12%. It's whatever. You can also have the one where it makes it so you charge your heavy attacks faster. I was testing that a little bit, and it helps out a lot as well. And then for the Restoration Staff, we have the Absorb Magicka enchantment, which is super helpful if you're low and need a quick burst of Magicka to heal up. And then I have max Magicka glyphs on everything. Then we're using a 3-piece willpower set for our jewelry, all with spell damage enchantments. That's pretty much a must. I mean, that really, really helps out in the end. As well as, I believe, what is our Mundus Stone? I believe I'm using the Ancient Arc. So with the Ancient Arc, it increases our, I believe, recovery, right? Yeah, increases magic recovery. So my recovery is sitting at 1600 right now, which isn't amazing, but it's enough when paired with oh my lord, the Destruction Staff and the Resto Staff heavy attacks. You can really get through a long fight, 1v5, 1v10. Whatever's happening at the time. You have a lot of variation between different scenarios where you can really react appropriately without being caught off guard without what you need on your bar. So that's that. So champion points for this build. So this is kind of important. It's not like super specific. It just has some stuff that's kind of a must-have. Arcanist is what I'm using for the Thief, for the Magicka recovery, because we want to be as self-sufficient as possible, as efficient, and being able to 1v10 or whatever's going on at all times. And the rest I put Magician just to reduce the Magicka cost, because I felt like nothing else is important. Then I have quick recovery over here. Don't need that at all. Actually, you can put the rest of those points in light armor focus if you want. I just don't want to be a squishy, so this is what we use for the warrior points, is the light armor focus for the extra physical resistance, because being a Dragon Knight, you already have really high Magicka resist or spell resistance. So that's that. And then the mage is where it gets important. So you want to put at least 75 in elemental expert, because that procs everything from our lava whip to our staff to our talons. So it's really, really important. And then whatever you have left over that, I obviously don't have a lot of champion points. Staff expert, super helpful for heavy attacks. Very, very helpful. So that is that. So the way this build really is used, and look at me being popular. The way that this build is used is we actually have a decent setup with this build where you can actually get really close to one-hitting. So when I start the battle, if I'm ganking, I'll heavy attack, and then I'll hit him with my square, which is elemental drain or susceptibility, and then go in from there. I'll knock him down, apply my searing strike. No, it's not searing strike. Jesus, look at me. Burning embers. Yeah, burning embers. Apply burning embers. And then what you can do is, if you're like fighting a Templar or someone and you really need to get a lot of damage off really quick, and something I found that DKs don't have really good burst damage at all, is that you can actually put them in talons, so proc talons, and then inhale, and then right after you inhale, charge a full flame attack, and then right as the flame attack, the full Inferno Staff charge is done, hit Lava Whip. And all of the Lava Whip, the heavy attack, and the inhale will all explode at the same time. They'll all hit. And you can crit for like, with me, I only have, I think, like 25 spell power when buffed. Yeah, like 2400 spell power with the Destruction Staff. And I can crit incredibly high with the Inferno Staff because of our buffs, as well as I'm a Dunmer. So I also get my buffs from that, from my racial passives. And plus you can crit, I can crit for like 10k from the inhale explosion, and then also adding on with the Lava Whip. Is if they're still in talons at that point, if they don't roll out, which is like kind of unlikely, but if it does happen, you can proc Power Lash right after that. And all of those stacked, you get a large amount of burst damage right off the bat. It's really, really helpful. You can also use Proxy Debt instead of Inhale. I just feel like, one, I don't like Proxy Debt because you have the little red circle, and it's everyone and their dog owns it now since the new Thieves Guild update, as well as the fact that the explosion takes 8 seconds, so it's kind of hard to like time it right. Where my fully charged attack is like perfectly lined up with the duration of the in between before the explosion on the inhale. So that's that. And then if you find yourself incredibly, incredibly low on Magicka, hold block, do whatever you need to do to heal up, and then use your enchantment off your Resto Staff to gather back your Magicka, full heavy attacks. You can also put them in talons and roll away, and then use that time you have to heal up. That's what I've been doing lately. For the most part, honestly, when I find other DKs that are Magicka based at Vet 16, I don't have any problem killing them at all. With this build, I feel like I've found a way to give something the DK lacks, which is burst damage. And in all, it really, really makes a difference with the new updates and the new healing. And like I said, as long as you keep Burning Embers on at all times, you can have crazy health recovery, crazy self heals that you don't really should have at all, but it's in the game, so I mean it's awesome. So that's our build, really. That's what I'm using right now. It's been working out great for me. Like I have so many alliance points in PvP. It's ridiculous. I have like somewhere 800k, and I've only been using this build for a couple days, so that's always awesome, I guess. Not that I need them anymore, but you know, whatever. You can also, if you want to, switch around the Magna set a little bit. You can use a 2-piece shoulder and head monster set if you want to use that instead of the three-piece Magicka recovery. But yeah, so that's that. And I'm going to show you guys some gameplay of me ganking and a little bit of like crowd PvP as well, if I can get like a good battle going, because I swear I can't find anyone in the server. They're so dead lately. So yeah, see you then. So I completely realized that this is going to be a terrible example, but I searched around for a couple hours trying to find a yellow or blue to just show this to you on. So anyway, we buff up, we're going to go in, and then obviously you can see I use Inhale, and then just right after Power Talk and Level It. So you can kind of just see how they stack up that quick. And if you didn't notice, I didn't even use Talon, so that wasn't even part of the damage. And not all of those attacks even critted. So they weren't all criticals. So you can see if you actually do end up critting every single one of those in step, even only a couple of them at the time, like even if you only get 1 or 2, you end up doing pretty fast damage in a short period of time. So that's that, and rinse and repeat that usually. Alright, so hopefully that kind of cleared up what I was talking about earlier, how you can use those 3 skills, the Power Attack, the Inhale, and the Lava Whip in succession to really add up to a bunch of damage like pretty quickly. Sorry for making only DK videos lately. I mean, he's just so close to my heart. I love the class. It's my favorite character. I mean, this is the first character I made off console. So anyway, if you have any suggestions to make this build better, I mean, I really was expecting the community to kind of come together and kind of formulate even better and progress this build into the future. So be sure to put any suggestions in the comment section below, as well as any suggestions for future gameplay or other video games I should try out or help out if you're struggling with. Thank you guys so much for watching, and subscribe for more content.